Well, it's here. The Game 7 nobody expected and everybody wanted. We're going to get a Game 7 in the NBA Finals for the first time since 2016 after the Pacers took care of the Thunder in Game 6 in Gainbridge Fieldhouse, 108-91. I'm going to break down everything in terms of this Game 7 tonight on Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'll give my keys to the game for each team, as well as my pick for the game, both against the spread and who I think is going to win. Before I jump into all that, make sure if you're new to the channel, like and subscribe. Starting out this new channel where I break down all major sporting events from a betting perspective and just from an overall sports perspective. So make sure to hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments section below if you agree, disagree with my take, and who you like to win in Game 7. But let's look at this matchup here, and let's talk about it specifically from the perspective of what we're looking at here. And that's the Thunder playing at home against the Indiana Pacers on the road. The Thunder at home in these playoffs have been phenomenal. They're 10-2 straight up. They have a plus 247 scoring margin at home in 12 games in the playoffs with an average margin of victory of over 20.5 points per game. In this series alone, they're 2-1 straight up, 2-1 against the spread, and they've scored a total of 353 points at home, averaging just under 118 points per game, and they're giving up just about 109 points per game. Average margin plus 8.7, so they're winning by margin. They've covered 2 of the 3 games. Obviously, they lost game 1. That's the one they did not cover. And you look at OKC's losses in the playoffs at home. They have 2 losses by a combined 3 points. They lost game 1 at home against Denver in the Western semis. They were up 13 with 7 minutes to go in that game. They're up 3 with under 10 seconds to go. They intentionally foul. Denver makes 2 free throws. It's a 1-point game. Chet Holmgren misses back-to-back free throws, and Aaron Gordon hits a game-winning 3 with less than 2 seconds to go, and they win by 2. Eerily similar outcome that we saw in Game 1 of the NBA Finals, which was their only other home loss. Game 1 against Indiana, OKC's up by double digits in the second half, up by double digits in the fourth quarter. They're up by 9 with less than 3 minutes to go, and just kind of blow it late in the last few minutes, and Tyrese Halliburton hits an incredible game-winning pull-up jump shot with under a second to go to beat the Thunder 111-110. But again, 2 losses by a combined 3 points. And that's kind of what you expect is going to be needed for the Pacers to win this game. They're going to have to win a tight, close game on the road in arguably the most hostile environment in all of professional basketball, right? And the reality is, which brings me to point number 2, is that the Thunder have been the far superior team, not just in the playoffs, but specifically in this series when playing in Oklahoma City, right? I think a lot of people were surprised, I was not, that Game 6, Oklahoma City came out and kind of laid an egg, right? Look, this is a young team. They had never been past the second round before this year. They come in with the youngest roster in NBA Finals history, the youngest roster in the league. And you have a closeout game on the road in a very hostile environment against arguably the hottest team in the NBA, right? The most fortunate team in the NBA, and the team that probably believes they're the best team in the NBA more than any other team does. Whether that's true or not is a different story, but the Pacers were absolutely not going to lay down. OKC kind of caught a break early. I think Indiana was like 1 for 10 to start, and they didn't have much of a lead. Oklahoma City didn't. So when Indiana got going, it was just an avalanche that could not be stopped. But that said, the reality is that when we look at this series in Oklahoma City, the Thunder have dominated. They have, with the exception of 2 stretches, one 5-minute stretch in Game 1, which cost them Game 1, and one 5-minute stretch in Game 5. But I would point to what happened following the stretch in Game 5, right? You saw them blow the lead in Game 1. They lose that game. It's a devastating loss. They do a great job of bouncing back in Game 2. They dominate similarly to the way they did against Denver in that Western semis. They lose Game 3 on the road, and now they're staring down the barrel of a 3-1 deficit if they can't take care of business on the road. And they're down 10 in the fourth quarter with the youngest roster in basketball, and they find a way to win. They were phenomenal down the stretch. SGA was unstoppable in the clutch, and Oklahoma City takes care of business. We go on to game 5. What happens then? The exact same thing that happened in game 1. Oklahoma City's up big, late third, early fourth. Pacers make a run. TJ McConnell is going ballistic. Nobody can stop him getting into the paint. And Oklahoma City responded the way they did not respond in game 1. And that was key because this team, despite their youth, really showed maturity down the stretch of game 5. And I think that's important to note going into game 7. It's going to take a massive, massive effort from Indiana to win this game. And then you look at it from the historical perspective. Home teams in NBA Finals Game 7s are 15-4 all time. There's been one home team in the last, one road team. There's been one road team in the last 45 years that has won a Game 7 on the road, and that was the 2016 Cleveland Cavaliers, who came back from down 3-1 against the Golden State Warriors in that crazy series, right? That's actually the last 7-game series we've had in an NBA Finals. But that is what it took, and that's the only time in the modern era, really, since post-1980, that we've had a Game 7 where a road team has won, right? Since 1980, home teams are 6-1 in Game 7s in NBA Finals. So history's on the side of the Thunder. The way they've responded time and time again is on the side of the Thunder. And the fact that they have not lost 2 games in a row this whole postseason is on the side of the Thunder. So let's look at the keys to the game then, and we'll start with OKC. I think number 1 is ball movement. Oklahoma City in the NBA Finals, 20 assists a game in their wins, 14.3 in their losses, right? Specifically, their stars, SGA and Jalen Williams, they have to move the ball. SGA and J. Will combined for 30 assists in their 3 wins in the finals, just 19 in the 3 losses. Why is that important? It's not like that number is massive. It's not like, 5 assists per game from each of your best players is massively or is a big number, right? But it's contagious. And we saw it in game 6. Not a lot of ball movement, especially early on, lends itself to other guys deciding, I'm going to go one-on-one here when it's not really their job to do so. We saw Chet do it a couple times. Lou Dort, it's contagious for him. Aaron Wiggins, when he comes into the game, tries to do too much when other guys are going one-on-one. And it becomes a my turn, your turn, kind of like the old Oklahoma City Thunder with Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant and James Harden, right? When this team is moving the ball, they're really hard to beat. When they're predictable and they're playing one-on-one and entering to Shea at the high post every single time or having J. Will try to attack downhill every single time, they're much easier to guard. And so that's important here. Oklahoma City's got to move the ball and get good shots, and it's got to be an unselfish game, right? We need to see a number closer to 20 assists for Oklahoma City if they want to win this game, in my opinion, or that at least would increase their chances of winning. Number 2 is forced turnovers. They've done a much better job of forcing Indiana to turn the ball over at home than they have on the road. They've won the turnover battle at home all 3 games. They need to do that in game 7. Number 3, guard the perimeter. Indiana's going to make threes in this game. That's what they do. They're going to make a ton of threes. They're probably going to make more threes than you do. But you got to limit the easy ones. They can't get the easy ones that they got in game 6, the wide open ones, the extra passes where nobody's closing out. They didn't have to work for good looks in game 6. Can't happen. Got to be better defending the perimeter. And they've done that, again, at home in this postseason and in this series. And then number 4, and I think this is huge, and this could be the difference between a win and a loss for the Thunder. That's contributions in shooting in general from role players. And when I say role players, I mean pretty much anybody but SGA and J. Will, because that's kind of what everybody else has been. Chet has been, not even really a third option, especially as of late, right? Now, OKC's been much better shooting the ball at home. They made 39 threes, and they've shot, I believe, a tick under 40% from 3 at home in the finals. On the road, they've made just 21 triples, and they're shooting 30.9% on the road from downtown. So we should see Oklahoma City shoot the ball better in this game. However, We got to have guys step up that are not SJ and J Will. It can't just be we need 40 and 35 from our best two players in order to win this game. Can they get that from those two guys? It's very possible. It's not a recipe for success, right? Look at the two guys that I want to talk about, though, specifically are Chet Holmgren and Alex Caruso. Why? Because both guys are really important to the success of this team, and they have been all year and in the postseason, and both guys have been atrocious in the last two games. Okay, the last two games for Chet Holmgren, he's 6 for 24 from the field, 25%, 1 of 6 from three, and he's averaging 6.5 points per game. He's been an absolute non-factor on both ends of the floor. Specifically in game 6, he was nowhere to be found even on the defensive side when he wasn't shooting it well. They have to have him play better. And then the second guy is Alex Caruso. I mean, this is a guy who has been a huge part of their success the entirety of this season, and especially in the playoffs. And in the first 4 games of the NBA Finals, he was averaging 15 points per game, shooting 55% from the field, 50% from three, making 2 threes a game, and he got to the free throw line 18 times in games 1 through 4. The last 2 games, he is 1 for 10 from the field. He's 0 for from 3, and he scored a total of 2 points in those 2 games and taken 0 free throws. I mean, the dichotomy between the first 4 games for Caruso and the last 2 is unexplainable, right? His plus minus was atrocious the last 2 games. So they need Alex Caruso to step up here. He's been so good all year for them. I thought he played himself into a good contract, and he's disappeared the last 2 games. They need at least one of those guys to be better, be significantly better in game 7. If they get that, I believe there is a high percent chance Oklahoma City wins. If both guys play well, I don't see a path for the Pacers. If Chet and Caruso have games like they've had all season and not like they did the last 2 games, OKC is going to win this game going away. Going over to the Pacers side, what do the Pacers have to do to have a shot? Well, number one, I think, is you got to get a lead and make OKC feel the pressure early on. And what I mean by that is I understand that Indiana has lived on these unbelievable 8-game comebacks, and it's this unwavering belief that they find a way to win no matter what, no matter the situation, but it's just not sustainable, right? I mean, the odds I think they showed on ESPN of winning the 4 games where they trailed in the final few minutes, in the final minute of these games, one in every series, it was like 1 in 650 million, right? Chance of winning all 4 games. It's just not sustainable, right? And so, yes, they were able to win one like that in Oklahoma City. Odds are, right, probability is they're not going to do that again, right? If Oklahoma City dominates from start to finish, there's a 95+% chance Oklahoma City wins this game, right? Maybe higher than that. Indiana's got to have a lead early. They need to put the pressure on Oklahoma City and create the doubt that they are going to win. Put the doubt in the minds of the Oklahoma City Thunder that they are the better team, right? Going into the 4th quarter, can you have a lead, right? Can you put the pressure on them early in the game and make them think? Because if you're hitting threes early, you have the capability of getting up. Can you put that pressure on Oklahoma City and maybe, just maybe, the youth shows and they start to crumble? I don't know that is going to happen, but if they got a lead early, I think that would be a recipe for success. Number 2, and it's super important, maybe the most important thing for Indiana in this game, is take care of the ball. Okay, 21 turnovers a game in Oklahoma City in this series, 13.7 turnovers a game in Indiana. They've either won or tied the turnover battle at home in all 3 home games, and they've lost the turnover battle in all 3 road games. Okay, they've got to take care of the ball. They turn the ball over 20 times, they're going to lose this game. Doesn't really matter how well they shoot, right? Barring some miracle comeback late like they had in game 1, right? Which is a 1 in a million thing. Number 3, they've got to shoot a high percentage from 3. I think that's a non-negotiable, right? Based on the numbers in this series, they are not going to win a game on the road in that environment when you know Oklahoma City's role players are going to be better. They're going to shoot the ball better. They're going to take care of the ball better. They're probably going to get more calls than they did in game 6. If you have an average to below average shooting night from 3, if you're the Pacers, it's going to be tough to win this game. Need to shoot it well, need to shoot it efficiently, and that's going to be predicated on ball movement and guys making shots, which they've done all postseason to their credit. And then lastly, they need some luck. I mean, look, they were a massive underdog in this series, right? You know, they've been down and out of 4 games in the playoffs, like I mentioned before, and had a lot of luck go their way to find ways to win games that they absolutely have no business winning, right? It feels like they're going to need some breaks to go their way in order to win this game, which they also probably have no business winning. But they've had nothing but things go their way in the playoffs. So if you believe it's meant to be, maybe the Pacers get enough breaks in this one and they do those things that I just talked about, take care of the ball, shoot a high percentage from 3, right? And get a lead early and put some pressure on Oklahoma City. If they do those 3 things and catch a couple of breaks, they could win this game. So who wins? Well, I'm going to pick Oklahoma City. I've said Oklahoma City was the best team in the league since back in December. I thought they were going to win the championship since back in December, despite their youth. Didn't think that this year was particularly strong throughout the league in terms of competitors to win a championship. And that shows with who's in the finals against Oklahoma City. That's not to discredit Indiana. Indiana is a great story, right? I'd love to see Pascal Siakam win a finals MVP, which, by the way, he will win if the Pacers win, right? Halliburton is not getting MVP. It's not even remotely close. Siakam's been their best player the entire series, the entire playoffs. The number here is interesting, right? We opened to 8.5, which is already a touch short from what we've seen in this series in Oklahoma City, right? The number in game 5, which is a very similar situation to this, right? Kind of, 80+% of teams who win game 5 and a 2-2 series win the series. You're at home. It's kind of series on the line, championship on the line. The line was 9.5. We're 3 points short of that. Oklahoma City covered in that game, right? They covered. They won by 11, and they led and dominated for a large portion of that game. They were covering for a large portion of that game. Now, I know they might have been fortunate to kind of get the cover late, but they were 11, 12, 13 points better than Indiana all game long. So from a number perspective and a value perspective, there's value on the Thunder here, right? Just based on what the market has told us. The market has told us that Oklahoma City is 9 to 10 points better than Indiana at home. And based on that projection, they have covered 67% of the time, 2 of the 3 games, right? And they had every possibility of covering game 1, but collapsed late, right? There was very real possibility they could have gone 3-0. And so if you're looking at this and you're thinking, I'm a numbers guy, the numbers say there is value on Oklahoma City minus 6.5. You got to lay minus 120 to get it, but it's worth it, right? That's a steal of a price based on this series, okay? That's basically what the line was in Indiana in game 4, right? You're getting what the price was on the road, and you're getting it at the best home court in the NBA with the better team in a game 7, where 15 out of 19 teams have won at home historically. Not to mention, right, the Pacers in this playoffs have not lost a game and covered. Every game they've lost, they have failed to cover, right? So that said, I'm picking the Thunder to win. I'm picking the Thunder to cover. I think there's value on the Thunder minus the 6.5. If you like the Pacers, I'd play them on the money line. I believe Indiana either wins this game outright, or I think OKC wins by double digits. I don't think there's an in-between. I think you either see Indiana run out of gas, and Oklahoma City's clearly the better team. They're at home. They run away with it, and they win by double digits, and Shea wins the MVP, and Oklahoma City gets their first championship. Or I think it's a close game in the last few minutes, and Indiana finds a way to squeak out a win and win the championship. Those are the 2 outcomes I see happening. I'm picking OKC to win it. Let me know in the comment section below. Do you agree with my take? What are your keys to the game for each team? Who do you like? Who's going to cover? What's your best bet for the NBA Finals Game 7? We got a great day of sports today. We got College World Series Game 2. Got some Caitlin Clark action on, taking on the Las Vegas Aces. And then we got an NBA Finals Game 7. Got to enjoy it because NBA is wrapping up. NHL is done. And we got to wait for the dog days now, July and August, to get to football season. So hope you guys enjoyed the breakdown. Let me know in the comment section below, all that good stuff. Like, subscribe, and thanks for joining us. And I'll catch you guys next time.